Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible. Very
Thank
good.
you, sir. Thanks. Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, participants. We will start in another 2 to 3 minutes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, one and all present here. Am I audible? Sir, am I audible? Shravan sir, Gopal sir.
Sir, you're definitely audible, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Avinash sir. Thank you, sir. So welcome back once again for the second session of the day 6 of this 1 week online FDP on research methodology for social sciences, tools, techniques and practices. So in the morning session, Dr. Lakshmi P shared her expertise with respect to modern tools and techniques of collecting data through a primary and secondary source of data. Now we have Dr. Somsekhar IC, Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru, as resource person for this afternoon session. This session will be a hands-on session where Somsekhar sir will be demonstrating factor analysis using SPSS. I take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Somsekhar IC. So Dr. Somsekhar IC is Assistant Professor in the Department of Business Administration at Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru. He was awarded PhD in the year 2018 in the area of supply chain management. He has around 2 decades of experience in teaching and research. He has published research articles in reputed peer-reviewed journals, both at national and international journals. He has also presented papers at various national and international conferences and seminars. He has been a resource person for various FDPs and MDPs related to research. He is a recognized guide for PhD and his area of interest are marketing analytics, supply chain management and digital marketing. In today's session, Somsekhar sir will be sharing his knowledge in the form of hands-on session with respect to factor analysis using SPSS. So we are honored to have you here today with us, sir, for this FDP. Now I request Dr. Somsekhar sir to take over the session, sir.
Thank you, Manjunath sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, PPT is visible?
No, sir.
Sir, no, sir. No, sir. It's not visible.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Manjunath.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Dear
you.
friends, it's my immense pleasure to share my experience and knowledge on this factor analysis in the 6th day, session 2. If there's any doubts are there, you can ask at the end or in the between. So my plan is in this session is discussion about the factor analysis, which is a key tool for any research scholar to have an idea about the dimensions of study, and also to publish the articles also. The tool is very important. So before moving to factor analysis, in this session, first I'll give some theoretical idea about what is factor analysis and what is the procedure to carry out the factor analysis. But we shared a case study about the investors' motives. So through that case study, I'll explain the steps.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. So slide share is not there, but slide is sharing, but you have not pressed F5 for slide share. Full screen agila, sir.
It's coming, sir?
No, sir. Full screen is not coming.
1 minute, sir. No, sir.
Now it is coming, sir. Now it's coming.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
So with respect to the factor analysis, so as I said, I already shared the case study also. So we discussed the case step by step about the factor analysis. So before that, we should have an idea that what is this factor analysis? What is this tool, statistical tool, and why this tool will be used by the most of the research scholars, and what's the purpose of using this factor analysis statistical tool? So if you take example in the market survey, a researcher is going to study that how many variables are to be required to understand a concept. So for example, if I want to study that about the post-COVID impact on the education system. So you'll be thinking that as a research scholar, you're going to consider a lot of questions, lot of ideas may come to inquire about your objective. So on that time, you may be frame around 30, 40, 50 like the items, that is the questions you may prepared or you may preparing, or maybe some minimum of at least 20 questions. Okay, you may be preparing from your various views to study about the post-COVID impact on the current education system. So like that, any research scholar, he may be any topic. He may be just want to analyze his curiosity through survey. So on that time, he will be developing various items. But when he is going to analyze the thing, what exactly the factors are going to be studied. So on that time, so analysis will be very difficult. That means the study will be more complex. To make it more feasible and also reduce the dimensions into a proper, understandable the views. So we normally use this factor analysis. So factor analysis is also called as reduction dimensions techniques also in the SPSS. So factor analysis is a statistical method that is used to describe variability among observed correlated variables in terms of a potentially lower number of unobserved variables called factors. What is unobserved variables? When you, as a researcher, when you go for market survey and ask the respondent's opinion, there is the observed variables, observed information. But from that, we are going to try to understand that what is the unobserved variables, some insights, what actually the commonality which was expressed by the most of the respondents. So that will be analyzed by considering the various respondents' views. That way the factor analysis is more helpful. For example, it is possible that variations in 6 observed variables mainly reflect the variations in 2 unobserved variables. So like that, the factors may be developed by considering the commonality among the views expressed by the respondents. That's what. So a person may be identifying the post-COVID is more dangerous in terms of the health. Another maybe says that it is dangerous in terms of the life death. Another maybe saying that in terms of the vaccine is not available. So like that, the fear may be in a different views, but those commonalities will be taken and a common factor can be identified from the different views. So that way, the factor analysis is more helpful for the researcher. So factor analysis is commonly used in data reduction because when the data is huge, abundant, okay, means like as I said, so more number of items or the questions were asked in the questionnaire, which comes from the researcher to understand. So that can be reduced by using this factor analysis and using the SPSS statistical software. So which is going through identifying the views or common variables among all the items. The tool is very helpful in identifying which common views or common variables are loaded high, loaded low. Loaded high, loaded low means that is the number of respondents among them. Suppose 500 respondents, how many of them are considering the first variable, second variable, third variable? So like that, the variables or the views will be analyzed by the statistical tool, by the SPSS while doing this factor analysis. Scale development. So in the factor analysis helps to identify that what actually the scale is now required, okay, to understand the respondent's opinion. And also the evaluation of the psychometric quality of a measure. Psychometric quality of measure means the behavior analysis, as I said, so when we're doing the behavior analysis, the behavior views will be various. So that can be consolidated and that can be evaluated with the help of this factor analysis. And even the assessment of the dimensionality of a set of variables. Dimensionality means the variables, okay, we have taken, but what is the strongness of that particular, the dimension views of that particular item or the variables. So that can be analyzed with the help of this factor analysis. So regardless of purpose, the factor analysis is used in the determination of small number of factors based on a particular number of interrelated quantitative variables. Interrelated means, suppose I want to check that what is the common view means, that means there is some relationship. And that relationship can be analyzed by the researcher with the help of this statistical tool. And he is more curious to understand what is that relationship. Is it commonality is existing or not? Or any common relationship is existing among the different variables or not? So such things can be analyzed with the help of the factor analysis. So that way, come up with a new names or a new view that is called as the latent constructs. So these are the constructs that are derived from the measurement of other directly observable variables. So that way, scientifically, these factors help to identify and come up with a new constraints or the latent constraints, which is based on the data collected by the researcher from the field survey or in the empirical survey. For example, you can see that the concepts are usually defined as unobservable latent variables. For example, motivation, love, hate, care, anxiety, worry, stress. So these are some of the things which are unobservable that can be identified with the help of this factor analysis. That's the beauty of the factor analysis, which is used by the researcher. Another example, I can say the construct of teaching effectiveness. Suppose in evaluating the teaching effectiveness, we consider various variables, various pedagogical tools, and even along with that, the various, either we can consider pedagogical tools, how it can be analyzed and used by the various teachers depending upon the individual teacher's behavior. On the other hand, so teachers, the faculty's behavior as we can take as one parameter, and through that we consider various pedagogical tools behavior. So that way, so this helps to identify the dimensions of either the behavior of the teacher or the pedagogical tools. Similarly, this factor analysis measures not directly observable constructs by measuring several of its underlying dimensions. What is underlying dimensions? Underlying dimensions means the dimensions which were not seen by the researcher. But this can be executed only when he go through the insights of the opinions shared by the respondents. Therefore, the expectation is that the factor represents a set of measures. So a factor, you may say that it may include either 4 measures, that is the 4 items, or maybe the 6 items. So minimum should be considered, and based on that, a factor can be developed. So from this angle, factor analysis is viewed as a data reduction technique. Why is it data reduction technique? Because the questionnaire I developed around 35 to 40 questions, okay, and among that I tried to find out that what are the commonalities or common factors are existing. So we'll be getting at least 3 or 4 the factors, so which are comprising the 30 questions. So almost it is a data reduction technique only. So that way, so it helps the researcher to take those 4 factor latent constructs which were developed as factors from those 30 questions or 30 items, and those 4 factors which are represent the overall mix of the respondents. And by considering those 4 factors, now the researcher can go for further steps of analysis. What is this behavior? What is the relationship among the behaviors? Okay, among the behaviors, the factors of the behaviors. So like that, he can go on consider for the further analysis of the study. Because in any research, generally, we want to analyze that whether we already seen that in hypothesis, or even if we take example in the research gap, we want to check that what is my views, whether my views are correct or not, or this gap is really existing or not. So all these the curiosity researcher is going to analyze, and we're going to analyze, so we're going to come up with a lot of objectives, and these objectives are depending upon the individual researcher's views. Some researchers may be analyze from the primary in the initial or maybe in the 1-stage level, and he may going to conclude his analysis. But some researchers, they want to go with some in-depth analysis, and they want to find out the beauty of their study, and they want to go with some interrelationships or cross relationships among the behavior, the variables what they develop in their questionnaire. So that can be done with the help of this factor analysis. These are also called as the multivariate data analysis techniques, so where the complex relationships can be identified with the help of this factor analysis. So factor analysis acts as a base for going for the multivariate data analysis. So in that way, so we can call this a data reduction technique, as it reduces large number of overlapping variables to a smaller set of factors that reflect constructs or different dimensions of the constructs here. So the assumption of factor analysis is that underlying dimensions can be used to explain the complex phenomena. Complex phenomena means, like, suppose if I take example of, in our case, I'm taking the investor's behavior, okay, with respect to the savings. So as an individual person, as a middle class, or maybe the lower middle class, maybe the upper middle class, every person is plans for the savings. And when you go for savings, so I give you with the various views. So those views maybe give some complex phenomena. So now I want to check that which are those common the phenomena or common the interest by the investors, whether it may be personal or maybe from the family oriented, okay, or maybe for the societal sake. So like that, it will vary from the person to person, and this type of the complex phenomena can be easily identified and maybe reduce, maybe bring to a common simple terms using the factor analysis. And in this factor analysis, the first and foremost, the scientific approach is as when we are reducing the huge number of the items in the questionnaire to a small means, so that leads to a small clusters, we can say. And which clusters are talking about the commonality behavior among the respondents, and that commonality can be appear only if there is the existence of the relationship. That's what the researcher also interested, that what about the commonality or the correlations between the variables that they try to result, okay, through their sharing of the factors here. For example, correlation between a person's test scores might be linked to shared factors such as general intelligence, critical thinking, reasoning skills, reading comprehension. So that way, any person's the test scores, it links with the various other variables. I can say a person's test score means, so it may be depending upon it. Some may be saying that the test scores are very important and they are very excellent by this person, and he always high with respect to the test scores. But that person's test scores, it may be depending upon the other variables, like it may be depending upon the intelligence of the person, or the critical thinking of the person, or the reasoning skills is having based on that, or the reading comprehension is having on that. So here, the intelligence, critical thinking, reasoning skills, reading comprehension, they are the other variables which helps to assess the individual person's the test scores. So that way, so the correlation between the person test scores based on this are showing that some interrelationship, and based on that we can come to some commonality, that is the person's the scores views depending upon the correlation between the different variables here. So a major goal of factor analysis is to represent the relationship among sets of variables parsimoniously, yet keeping factors meaningful. Parsimonious means which is the commonality which is we normally any researcher wants to keeping with the characters meaningful. So factors meaningful, like the previous case we see that example, the person's test scores or a person is intelligent, we can be depending upon the other common variables which are clubbed together representing the intelligence of a person's scores. So that way a good factor solution is both simple and it should be interpretable. So simple and interpretable means we can say the person's intelligence is simple, but it can be interpretable based on the various other dimensions like general intelligence, critical thinking, reasoning skills, reading comprehension. So like that, all these leads to one new dimensions that is called as the factor. That way, when factors can be interpreted, new insights are possible. That's what we can say it is a person's intelligence depending upon all these the other 6 variables. So let us focus on the next part, that is the application of the factor analysis. So when you use this tool, factor analysis is applicable. First one is defining the indicators of constructs. Then second one is defining the dimensions of an existing measure, and third one is selecting the items or scales to be included in the measure. Defining indicators of constructs. So indicators, it says that in what direction these constructs are moving, or based on what direction these related constructs were happened or formed. So ideally, so these constructs, as I said in a factor analysis, so at the end we are going to identify which are the factors are executed or existed based on the empirical study done by the researcher. And generally, while defining those constructs, so ideally it should be based on at least ideally 4 or more measures should be chosen to represent each construct of interest. Sometimes we can say that in the factor analysis, like 2 types of factor analysis we do: exploratory factor analysis and the confirmatory factor analysis. Why I'm telling in between here is that exploratory factor analysis, which is done by the researcher to explore, because he don't know which are the dimensions. As I said, the COVID impact on the present education system. So I don't know the actual factors. I just ask, discuss with my colleagues, discuss with the experts, means what is your opinion about the COVID impact 19 or COVID impact on the present education system. So like that, I might done the focus group interview, or my interact with, I had done personal interview, okay, or with my literature review on the from the newspapers or news channels. So some ideas arise, I convert it as the items of the questions in the questionnaire, and I will be asked. But I don't know what are the commonality. So that we are going to explore the factors. That's the exploratory factor analysis. And confirmatory factor analysis, which is already confirmed, means the factors are confirmed, and those factors were confirmed based on the theory or the principles already executed, or the I can say the models. Okay, even offered by the most of the researchers, existing models. So based on that, the confirmatory factors can be used to evaluate the measures. So like that, so defining indicators of constructs means, so any factors when you're going to execute, at least you should have ideally 4. Even sometimes the 3 also can be considered based on the respondent's opinion also. So the choice of measures should as much as possible be guided by theory, previous research, and logic. Then another example I can take. So if you want to study the customer's perception or customer satisfaction towards a particular product, so we generally take the marketing mix as a 4 variables. So what is the customer's opinion towards the product, strategies, or pricing strategies, or maybe the promotion strategies, or from the price distribution strategies, or even with today you can say adding with the people strategies. So all this talks about totally leads to the one construct, that is the latent construct, that is the customer satisfaction. So that is, we are going to execute based on the theory or the previous research done by the researchers. You sometimes say some of the key concepts where researcher wants to analyze. For example, the customers encounters in the survey, customers interaction with the service encounters. Service encounter means a moment when I enter a hotel. So at that time, what the service I am receiving, that's called a service encounter. And that moment of service encounter leads to a lot of the results with the customer's behavior. So that way, so these measures, suppose I want to check that what are those variables which are helps to motivate or promote the reasons to enhance the positive opinion of the customers towards the hotel or service providers in the time of the encounter service encounters. So again, I need to depending upon the certain literatures done by the researchers, or some past theories, or some logic. So that way, so that part we can use this factor analysis. Another application is defining the dimensions for an existing measure. So existing measure is there, but I want to analyze what are the dimensions. So in this case, the variables to be analyzed are chosen by initial researcher and not the person conducting the analysis. So as I said, some of the research is already done. So okay, the theory is existing. Now I was going to evaluate that, is it matching with my study or not? Or these factors are really existing or not? Or these items are lead to execution of these factors or not? So that way, so factor analysis is performed on a predetermined set of items or the scales which are already developed or available in the literature. And also results of factor analysis may not always be satisfactory. It's because from researcher to researcher, the curiosity also varies, and their views of objectives also varies. Okay, and also the level of satisfaction with respect to the output they are getting, that also varies. And depending upon the number of indicators or the type of the indicators or the items they are going to develop in their study. That's what. So results of factor analysis may not always be satisfactory. The results are the items or the scales may be poor indicators of the constructs or the constructs. Construct or a construct means one or more constructs what they are developed, that may be because of, that may not be giving expected answers because of the poor indicators were developed by the researcher or existing, or maybe mismatch with the indicators. And also there will be too few items or scales to represent each underlying dimensions. Suppose I want to check that, for the example, the previous just we see that the student's intelligence or person's intelligence. We see that it may be depending upon the IQ level, okay, or maybe depending upon the reading comprehension or the critical thinking or the reasoning skills. Among them, even if I miss the critical thinking and reasoning skills, okay, that may not be able to, that may not be justifying the researcher yes, he has done a right assessment of the person's performance. So such things are leads to what? There is the good performance about the particular factor analysis. Another application is selecting the items or scales to be included in the measure. So factors may be conducted to determine what items or scales should be included and excluded from the measure. The measure means the scale, okay, while using the statistical tool, we are going to measuring that what are the variables we consider or use for developing the factors, whether they evaluated properly or not. Whether those, suppose as I said, so 6 variables, 6 items are linked to one factor, and among those 6 variables, some may be weak response, some may be high response, good response by the respondents. Response means what? It should be understood by the respondents. That means the question what to develop, that should be understood by the respondent, and he has to give a free opinion without any bias. If he is not able to understand the items, he just go on giving, taking that strongly agree or strongly disagree. That itself reflecting that he has not understood what actually the researcher is asking, and he just given us some bluff answers. So such things are lead to what? A poor score or poor loading. That's what. So factors will be conducted to determine which items are strong, which items are poor loaded, and this measure helps us to identify the factors or actual items leads to go for a new latent constructs. And also the results of the analysis should not be used alone in making decisions of inclusions or exclusions. So decisions should be taken in conjunction with the theory and what is known about the construct that items or scales assess. That means, so when you're going to remove or add the questions in your factors, you have to consider that is it having any relationship with the other items or not. If I remove these items through the factor analysis, is it missing my expected objectives, or is it the question actually I developed to explain my intention of studying in the empirical study? So these things has to be again reconsidered by the researchers before removing or adding any questions or keeping the present items in the question. So that way all this can be done with the help of the factor analysis. Now let us move to the next part, that is steps in factor analysis. So what are the steps included and how each step is scientifically processing and helps to identify or get the actual factors. So dear participants, any doubt till now in this discussion? Because next part I am going to discuss the step by step. So after that we'll go with the case study example. Any doubts with respect to the theory part? Manjan sir, I am audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes. So I think let me continue with the steps with the factor analysis. So this factor analysis, as it's a statistical tool used by most of the researchers to identify the latent constructs. So it followed by the 4 steps. One is, first step, that is the correlation matrix for all variables is computed. Second step comes with the factor extraction. Third step comes with the factor rotation. And the 4th step comes with the make final decisions about the number of underlying factors. So let us go with the first step, that is the correlation matrix for all variables which are computed. So what happened here, when the software runs with the data given, so generally it does the correlation. It's going to check that is there a relationship existing among the variables or not. That way, to generate a correlation matrix for all the variables, that means the items were taken for the study. So after that, we need to identify the variables which are not related to the variables among the group. The correlation between the variables are small, it is unlikely that they share common factors, and the variables must be related to each other for the factor model to be appropriate. So then next step is think of correlations is absolute value, and then we are checking that whether these correlation coefficients are greater than 0.3 or not, if it is absolute value or indicative of acceptable correlations or not. Then after that, we are going to examine visually the appropriateness of the factor model. So in that way, in the first step, we are going to check about the correlation matrix. So this correlation matrix helps to assess that what is the degree of relationship. We already yesterday in session, you see that the correlation regression, and the correlation, it helps to assess the degree of correlation. And that you already identified. So if it is between 0 and 1, that is a positive correlation or negative correlation, or a strong correlation or a weak correlation. So that has to be assessed, okay, in the correlation matrix. And when the correlation coefficients values, that is how much it is should be there. Suppose it is 0.3, that means it is lower but positive correlation. So that way, so the values has to be cutoff has to be considered, so which helps to assess that okay, there is a relationship between these two, and there is a weak relationship between these variables. So such type of the analysis can be done with the help of the correlation matrix. And as I said, the any factor you take, it depending upon the number of variables, and if those variables are having a relationship on them, then that leads to a particular factors. So for that reason, we need to identify that relationship. So in that way, in the correlation matrix, we come up with the one test called as the Bartlett's test of sphericity. So this helps to identify in the correlation matrix whether it is an identity matrix or not. In that way, so we use the hypothesis that the correlation matrix is an identity matrix or not. If it is an identity matrix, yes, definitely it leads to helps bring a good relationship among the variables. That's what we normally comes to check this correlation matrix, and this is called as the Bartlett's test of sphericity. It is the first step of analysis in the factor analysis. Then what is this identity matrix? You can see that in identity matrix is the diagonal items the way in the diagonally in the matrix all are count as 1 and all of diagonal terms as in 0. So that diagonal matrix also, if it is comes with that relationship existing, then we can call it as an identity matrix. So then we can say yes, there is a relationship between the variables and they leads to be accepted. That way, so Bartlett's test of sphericity we are going to consider. Along with that, we are going to check about the Kaiser-Meyer-Okin measure of sampling adequacy. So before that, the Bartlett's test of sphericity, when we are doing the correlation analysis, as we are framing the hypothesis that whether the identity matrix is existing or not. If the identity matrix is existing, then along with that, we are going to check the important to prove this hypothesis. What is that? That is the significance level. If it is significant, then we can say the identity matrix is going to existing. If the significance is poor, that means the relationship is not existing. So that way, so Bartlett's test of sphericity also is proving that it's checking the hypothesis in the analysis that so whether the significance level is less than 0.05 or not. So if it is less than 0.05, so we can consider that yes, there is a relationship is existing, and also it which leads to the identity matrix. So this is a test now we use as a part of the correlation matrix and the first step of the data items analysis in the factor analysis step. So this I will show one by one. So when you come with the case study. So next part is comes with the second step in this second calculation in the factor analysis in the beginning of the factor analysis before going for factor analysis, that is the KMO Bartlett test. So generally we call under that Bartlett test, which it talks about the test of sphericity, and the second part is KMO. There is a Kaiser-Meyer-Okin or Okin measure of sampling adequacy. Why this is required? What is the meaning of sampling adequacy? Anybody want to throw a light on the sampling adequacy? What's actual meaning of sampling adequacy?
Sufficient number of samples.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sufficient number of respondent samples are required. Suppose if you want to do, because why we are using this, some researchers, they develop some tend to in their entire questionnaire they come with a very few questions with the scale questions and some on the demographic data, but they want to run the what is that the factor analysis, and with those questions, even though it will be 8 or 10 items, but when they go with a very less sample size. So on that time, the respondents' opinion is also less. So on that time, the adequate number of respondents is representing is giving the opinion or not, actual opinion or not, that can be evaluated with the help of the KMO. I cannot get just with the 10 or 20 respondents I take and what we do the t-test, so same thing cannot be applicable with the factor analysis. And as these factors, I told that these factors will be used for further analysis in the multivariate data analysis. So these factors should be loaded at least by the minimum number of items, and also each item should be representing, it should be answered by the at least some required sample size. That's what we can say with the sampling adequacy. If the sampling adequacy is not met, so on that time, so factors itself not going to generate, even though you do an n number of attempts in the software, the SPSS tool, you cannot get the appropriate, the loadings for the factors. That's what, so we can say these two tests, that is the KMO Bartlett test, we can call it as the pre-qualifying tools for before going for any factor analysis or before identifying any factors or related constructs from the questionnaire. So for that reason, so this Kaiser KMO and Bartlett test, when the KMO purely talks about the sampling adequacy, whereas talks about the
less than 0.5, including 0.5.
What's that?
Less than 0.5 is unacceptable. That's including 0.5.
Yes, including 0.5, sir. Yes, sir. That we will check in the commonalities also. So in that way, we can say that is KMO measured to 1 up to 1 indicate a sizable sampling adequacy, whereas the 0.8 and higher are great, 0.7 is acceptable, 0.6 is mediocre, less than 0.5 is unacceptable because, yeah, up to 0.5 you can consider, sir, and even some social sciences you can consider, but sampling adequacy is very, very important for factor analysis. Sufficient number of respondents' opinion is not there, then factors will never generate. Why it is happening? Because when you move with the next step, that is the rotation, that is the principal component analysis, where it comes with the Varimax rotation. So where in the rotation, the items will be, the questions will be rotated in the software, where from the each rotation, so the common variables will be identified and picked, and that will be lead to the loading of the factors. If in the rotation time, if they're not finding the common variables, that's not going to execute a required loading for any factors, and that will have, that is the reason is because of the sampling adequacy, and that itself helps any researcher that whether he is with the right sample size or not. So to improve that, they had to go with, if they want to, because this is purpose-based, the factor is normally done by the researcher. So on that time, definitely they have to focus on the more number of sample size. That's what the KMO, that is a Kaiser working test measures called as for the specifically known for the sampling adequacy. So reasonably large values are needed for a good factor analysis. Small KMO values indicates that the factor analysis of the variables may not be a good idea. So on that time, you can stop your study for further factor analysis evaluation. You can better that you can improve, go with the more number of the sample size and even relook on your questions. Then you can apply for go for this factor analysis test. That way I can say it's a pre-qualifying test before going for any factor analysis. And any research article, if you have done factor analysis, means first they'll check that what is the level degree of the KMO Bartlett test, the readings. So whether in the Bartlett test, whether the significance is there, the correlation is existing or not, and then from the point of KMO, they'll check the sampling adequacy. If these two are satisfying, then the researcher can, with the free of mind, he can go for the factor analysis steps. Next, step 2, that is the factor extraction. When it is confirmed through this KMO Bartlett test, next step is the factor extraction, means from those in the software, the items are running. So that will lead to extraction of the commonality from the customer's opinion, the respondent's opinion. So that way in this, what actually happened, let us see. The primary objective of this stage is determine the factors, and the initial decisions can be made here about the number of factors underlying a set of measured variables. Measured variables means what is the measure, what is the load of that each variables. Okay, that will be assessed based on the respondent's opinion. And also this type of analysis can be done through the method called as the principal component analysis. So the next step is available. It's the second step, which is when they go for factor extraction. Because as I said, it's scientific method. So how from as a data reduction, plus it is going to extract and identify the common behavior, commonality among the items, and then is itself classifying them into different group of factors. So on that time, before grouping them, a commonality has to be identified, and that will be used based on the principal's component analysis. This is a method used by the researcher. So in this principal component analysis, which is more commonly used, factors extraction method. But when you go with the software, you'll find some more methods which are, you can see that one is maximum likelihood method, principal axis factoring, alpha method, unweighted least squares method, generalized least squares method, image factoring. So like that, so various methods will be available, but go with this particular principal axis factoring. So 1 minute, sir. Yeah, sorry, it's just a power shortage over there, so just I kept for a recharge. Yes. So now it's visible, sir?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes. So it comes to the principal component analysis. So linear combinations of the observed variables are formed because scientifically what I find in the internally, the observed variables which are showing the common behavior, so that will be identified, and that will help to come up with the extracted factors. So in that way, so the first principal component is combination that accounts for largest amount of variance in the sample. That means, so which are giving a commonality, so based on that, which is giving a highest variance, so that will be considered, and that way, so the factors will become one after the other. And the second principal component accounts for the next largest amount of variance is uncorrelated with the first. What is uncorrelated with the first means that should not talk the first correlated first group of the factors which is already existing. It's already created. So that way, so one by one, so the common groups will be created in this process. It's based on the correlation also. So the successive components explains progressively the smaller portions of the total sample variance, and all are uncorrelated with each other. Means like it's just like a funnel approach. In the beginning, okay, you can see that the largest group of the components will be considered as the first factors, and then followed by the next level, next level, like that. It leads from correlation to uncorrelated the variables, so which becomes without considered as a factors. So which are commonly come up with the high correlations that will lead to develop the factors. So that way, so this process will take place. You can see here in the SPSS, so we can find is the factor extraction we call as the total variance explained. Okay, so to decide on how many factors we need to represent the data, so here we use two methods. One is eigenvalues method and the spin plot method. You can see here the total variance explained, because this is the table we will be going to execute will comes as the output when we run the factor analysis. So this total variance explained, which talks that how many factors are constructed by the software. Okay, and while deciding this, the researcher is using an option called the eigenvalues. So what is eigenvalue? So eigenvalue talks that the cutoff value for any the loading of the factors here. So normally while deciding the number of factors, so the researcher will put a cutoff that if my eigenvalues are more than 1, then only consider for the factor analysis, developing the new factors, or else no. So you can see that in this 1, 2, 3, that means the eigenvalues here, initial eigenvalues, that is first one is talks about 3.046, then second one is 1.801, next one is 1.009, but after that 0.934, which is not considered. As a researcher, I give a cutoff that my eigenvalue should be more than 1. If we not given, then it will start giving a mixture of all these and come with the poor loading or poor explanation with the factors there. To improve the quality of the factor, so we are giving cutoff, or we not use in the industry, that is the eigenvalue should be more than 1. And also they use the screen plot method also to check that how many factors are existing. So that way, so in this table, if I explain here, you can see here initial eigenvalues. This is the table called as total variance explained. What is total variance explained? Total variance explained means, suppose out of some 10 questions I asked from the respondents of some 150 to 100. So how many items were explained, understood and explained by the respondents? Okay, so that will be assessed, analyzed through the software, which comes as a part of the extraction. Okay, and that way it is explained by the respondents. So you can see that the first factor was developed with the eigenvalue of 3.046. The percentage of variance is 30.465, and here it is talking about the 30.465% of explanation of the overall study by the researcher. The second factor was developed, which is talking about the 18.011. That much of percentage was explained by the second factor, and the total with considering the first and second, that is 48.47% of explanation was done through the study. And coming with the third factor, that is the one showing about the eigenvalue of 1.009, you can see that the explanation is coming down, that is a 10.091. So here 30% explained by one factor, only 18% explained by the another factor, and 10% or 10.091% was explained by the third factor, and these total three are lead toward around explanation of the 58.566% of explanation, which is a good study of extraction for any factor analysis you can see. And if this was poor, that means the explanation was poor, that means the factors were not extracted properly, or the respondents may not be given a proper opinion about the empirical study. So that way, so total variance explained, it helps to assess that how much percentage of the study was analyzed, and it helps to extract the factors, so it will be explained to the total variance explained. The determination of the number of factors is usually done by considering only factors with eigenvalues, as I said, greater than 1, and also factors with variance less than 1 are not better than a single variable, since each variable is expected to have a variance of 1 here. So that way, so through scientifically, so as this is a part of the extraction method, and this is normally when you done this, when you run the factor analysis, so it shows the extraction method with the principal component analysis, which is normally used for any social science methods. Okay. So next part, that is again to identify number of factors here, that is through the screen plot method, as I said. So these two will be done, which helps identify that how many factors were created or constructed when we run the SPSS. So you can see this screen plot. It is showing the first three, that means with the component number and also based on the eigenvalues. So eigenvalues 1, 2, 3 up to 1 here. As we give the cutoff is up to 1, eigenvalue should be 1. So lower than that cannot be considered, and they are showing the poor correlation, and also which may not be considered, which may not be helpful for construction of the better quality factors. So that I can see that the examination screen plot provides a visual of the total variance associated with each other here. So, and it is also very important when you develop a research article. So if you use the screen plot, that will also clearly highlight your efforts in understanding, and also this will help to make a proper interpretation of the relationship among the variables with the help of the screen plot. Because many times these number of factors decided by the researcher, or sometimes many of the times he leave to the software and you want to check that, let me see, you'll be very curious to check that, let me see that how many factors are generated by the items developed in the questionnaire. So in choosing number of factors in addition to the statistical criteria, one should make initial decisions based on the conceptual and theoretical grounds. Conceptual theoretical grounds means, as I said, the conceptual models were developed by the researchers in their previous study, or the theoretical grounds which is proven, which were proven, and how much the dimensions for a particular study. As I said, example of the customer's perception, customer satisfaction. Okay, we used to take from the point of marketing, we see the 4 dimensions or 4 factors named. Under that, various dimensions, under that, various items will be considered. Or based on these 4 dimensions, we can consider the further items for the further study. That is based on the what? The existing theory. As well as the exploratory, so depending upon the researcher's curiosity, or even sometimes they want to check that, let me see that this model was developed for this particular sector industry, what its implication if I apply the same thing with a different industry or a different organization with the different variables. So this type of these studies can be done by the researcher, but another time he should focus on that whether I should go for conceptual or with the exploratory. So in this stage, the decision about the number of factors is not final. So because in exploratory, depending upon the study is coming on. So with this factor extraction, whatever the data comes, okay, that itself not finalizing the number of factors. Again, to give some more clarification about the number of factors are going generated, so it happens through the factor rotation. You can find the principal component analysis in the stage. You can find this factor rotation. So where in these steps the factors are started rotating among each other to find out still any further relationship is going to be executed, or any weak items are existing, so that can be filtered. That is through the factors rotation. You can see that when the factors are rotating, so the outliers or the weak items will be fallen outside. So where it is going to find out with the variables which are giving a common meaning. So that way, so in the factor rotation, so it will try to identify the actual factors based on the variables or the items which are contributing for that particular factor. That's the beauty of this factor analysis, in that the factor rotation we can find. And these factors are rotated to make them more meaningful and easier to interpret. Because when the common opinion related items were brought together, so that will help the researcher to come with a simple and a effective interpretation. That way, each variable is associated with the minimum number of the factors. So that way, in any factor analysis you take, okay, the principal component analysis, to go with the rotation, we use the option called as Varimax rotation. Because in the rotations, different types of rotations are available and depending upon the purpose. But in general, in social science studies, we prefer with the principal component through under analysis. For extracting the factors, for rotating factors, we use the Varimax rotations, where the variance is useful for Varimax, because in this Varimax rotation specialty is that it's use orthogonal rotations yielding uncorrelated factors components. So in that Varimax attempts to minimize the number of variables that have high loadings on a factor. So this enhances the interpretability of the factors. So the orthogonal rotations, So it's going to extract the variables and common variables that leads to development of the new common factors. So other common rotation methods includes our oblique rotations, which yield the correlated factors, and these are less frequently used because their results are more difficult to summarize. That's what. So many of times we go for normally the varimax rotations instead of the oblique rotations. Other common rotation methods used include oblique rotations, which yields correlated factors, which are less frequently used because of their results are more difficult to summarize. Some other rotation methods we can see. I will show this in the while doing the analysis in the spaces. That is quality max and ecomax or pro max. That is the orthogonal or the oblique. In the final step, there is with the making final decisions. There is the finally about the number of factors to choose in the number of factors for the rotated solution, which is most interpretable. So here, in this, we got the factors, but how to interpret them and how to give them a new name. So that way, so the researcher will be very curious to identify the commonality, and he has to give a new name for the particular new latent constant. That is the final stage of any factor analysis. So here the plots are loading, providing a visual of variable clusters, and here every researcher will find a commonality among the variables. Some of the assumptions, okay, let me move with the next part. That is, before that, let us go with some assumptions which are underlying when doing the factor analysis. So that will give you more clarity on the analysis. So first one is the measured variables are linearly related to the factors plus errors. That means this assumption is likely to be violated if items limited response scales like 2-point response scale, that is dichotomous true false, right wrong, this should not be included. That leads to errors. But normally we take the scales items, so that leads to what? So linear related. Means they are linearly related, like in the regression linear line will come, so like that they have a straight line relationship. When the relationship is existing, that leads to come up with the commonality. Thus the data should have a bivariate normal distribution for each pair of variables. Also we are assuming that the observations are independent, because when the factors were developed, individual factors are independent and they are not correlated. So that way we can say that the factor analysis model assumes that variables are determined by common factors and unique factors, and these unique factors are assumed to be uncorrelated with each other with the common factors. That way, so we are assuming so the factors are independent and they are developed with the process of the varimax rotation under the principal component analysis scientifically. Let me go with the case of the motives of investments. I expect the participants please open the case and the discussions what we shared before the session. So as I said here, we are going with the questionnaire called the motives questionnaire. And what is actually this case? So as I said, any investor, okay, they have their own views before making investments. Invest in terms of the savings, what they do. So they save the money for some purpose, maybe personally, or maybe some we can say that we do savings for family purpose, or we do for societal purpose, or personal intuition based we do certain savings. So that way, in this case, in this empirical study, so some of the 8 items were taken, which were talks about the savings. So here, the first item asked that I save because I desire to build reserve for unforeseen contingencies. That is a common, any person, okay, may say very strongly agree also. And even I save because I desire to provide for anticipated future needs like old age. Third item is talks about I save because I desire to enjoy an enlarged future income like interest and appreciation. Everyone wants their future, okay, and they want some savings, some returns. with whatever the investments or the saving they do at the present stage. So that way, so the views will vary here. So that's what here from point of the savings as the investments. So you can see the different views as the different items. Items means the questions in the questionnaire. Then fourth item says that I save because I desire to enjoy a sense of independence and power to do things. Because after the age, we need power. Every person they want to maintain their power consistently, and for that they should be with some wealthy conditions, and for that they should have planned properly in advance, and they would have some money that will help them to lead their future in a better way. So this is another view taken as an item here. I save because I desire to meet gradually increasing expenditure in order to improve the standard of living. Every person has their own lifestyles and standard of living. They don't want to compromise with their standard of living. To manage that in the society or in the industry or in the profession, so people start planning to save. So for that purpose only, it means considering the fluctuations in the future or maybe increasing expenditures in the future. Then another item was asked, developed like as I save because I desire to spend less. That means there are some miserly instinct people, they save and they mindset itself that I'll spend less and I'm left with so many huge amount. That's why I'm going to save them. Another item says that I save because I desire to pass the fortune to the next generation. Next generation means what? For the kids or the next future, the children or family for next future. And then I save because I desire to carry out speculation business. Speculation business is some people, they have their own business and they know that business is not always give a continuous profit. The speculations will be there, and if any negative happen, so I should be able to maintain my status quo or the living styles or maybe my business in a consistent progress. Then for that I need some investments and I should do the savings every day. So these are the different 8 items, okay, views which just talks about the motive. I taken this as just example because its entire studies talks about the investors' behavior. Okay, in that I taken the motives as a part, and let me identify. I want to check that which are those motives, common motives, okay, which helps to identify a commonality among these. And I am interested to check that what are the factors can be executed from these motives, in the name of the motives here. So that way, again, the 5-point rating scale was developed and the data was collected. Now let us go to the data collected file. Okay. I hope all of you opened this. So the motives, the file we shared, the SPSS file we shared. So which is shows with the .sav prompt.
Somsekhar sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, your file is not visible, sir. Are you sharing the file on the screen, sir?
It's coming. Okay. Now it's coming to SPSS.
No, sir. No, sir. It's not coming.
Okay, sir. That means I need to share the entire screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, 1%. Now it's visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the file we shared with you all. So I hope you already opened this. Okay. Yes. First, as all of you know that in the SPSS, when you open a file, you'll get 2 windows. Okay, one is variable view and the data view. Let me go with first variable view. Variable view clearly shows that how many items are the questions we considered and whether all the items are presented in the file or not. So the 8 variables I shown, so all the 8 variables, there is motive. The code was given 41, 40, 43 up to 48, and another one variable was taken, that is the to nominal scale. Okay. So these are okay. Come with the first one with the name, type, width, decimals, and the label. So label is actually any SPSS file. When you open the label, actually tells that what is that the variable name you given and what actually this is explaining. because these labels are going to be printed in your output. Okay, that will help you to get exactly the for the understanding or even for better interpretation. So all the 8 items are here. The questions what I had taken, and for that here I need to prepare the values. Values means the choices are given in your questionnaire. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is strongly disagree, disagree, neither nor, agree, strongly agree. So this should be the verification of these is very important. Then no missing values, columns 7 and right alignment. Okay, these are very common. And coming with the measures. So as I said, 5.8 scale we use here. So it comes with the measure as a scale for all, and one with the dichotomous, which is the multiple choice. Here we had 3 choices, that is highly motivated, weakly motivated, mixed motivation. This question was asked to identify how much you find yourself, whether you find yourself always as a highly motivated or weakly motivated or mixed motivation. So this was helps to classify those people. So that part we made as a normal scale. And when you go to the data view here, which helps to check that the numbers all are appearing properly with the decimals, without decimals. With decimals means you know that if the decimals, if I say, if I increase to 1, 2, you can see in the data view, so 2 decimals are appearing. So to overcome all this, so it's better that you always keep the decimals as 0. So now the numbers will be very clear. So variables are there, and another important to check with the data view is that how many samples, whether all the samples what I taken are the data was entered or not. So if I scroll it now, so here we have around 552 respondents data. Okay, so this should reflect in the sample size when we run the factors. Okay, so let me start with the analysis. So all the statistical tools available under the analyze option in the dashboard. So first I'll click the analyze. So now I'm focusing on my study, that is I'm focusing on the factor analysis. So here all various tools are available. So all are, we can say, statistical tools which are available in the market, and as per my data requirement, whatever analysis, so I am going to just go and pick the particular tool. That's my view, because always I see that in the statistics we see the various statistical tools are available, and as a researcher we should just have an idea that what is the statistical tool, what is the purpose we are going to, for what purpose this tool can be used. If you know that, it's you'll become master, and you'll be more you'll be wondering that when you think of your objectives, so automatic statistical tools will come and you will say that okay, this type of the verification or the analysis can be done using this type of the statistical tools. Now let me come to my part of study. So mixed models, correlate, regulate, log linear. Okay, neural network. So coming to the dimension reduction, as we already said that factor analysis is also called as the dimension reduction technique. So it comes under the name called a dimension reduction, and in that you click factor. So you get the window here. So now I should go with the first step. I should include the variables here. So as the 8 variables, I'm going to I want to analyze how many factors are going to be explored. So take all, okay, I'm just here, all, okay, excluding the demographic data, classic categorical data. That is the saving motive, that is the classification respondents. That's not required. We want for factor analysis only we had to use the scale items. Okay. So yes, this is left. That's not required. Now coming to the descriptives. So the first options, you can whenever open, you'll find the options here. So you should be curious and should know that why this option is given and what is the output I'm going to get. And there is a number of options, but you should specify that what type of the data I require. So descriptives, descriptive data, statistical data, you know that. Okay. So in that, first I want in the initial solution, under that I need with respect to the correlation matrix, as we have discussed the first step, there is a KMO and Bartlett's test of sphericity. So I just check this and continue. Only this we need to select. So second step, I told the extraction, factor extraction. So thumb rule in the industry is that principal component, which is normally used in social studies, then comes with the remaining as it is. So the correlation matrix unrotated. I'll click the screen plot here. Okay, this is analyze correlation matrix. I'm analyzing under the correlation matrix. For that, I'm using the principal component method. I told that various methods are available. Okay. Maximum likelihood, principal axis, alpha factoring, image factoring, but we are using the principal component matrix analysis. Then comes the display, screen plot I want, extract, factor extraction. So here I told that depending upon the researcher, so whether he want to fix the number of factors to extract, so you can decide here if you based on the, if you know the model, and you want to check that whether in that exactly items are fitting or not. So I can give 3 here, but my objective is not this. My objective is explore for that, and depending upon the eigenvalues. So I'll click that here, eigenvalues which are greater than 1. Maximum ratio for convergence. So normally it will always minimum 25. So keep it as it is. Continue. So I come to the third one, that is rotation. So which type of rotation you are going to consider for your under the principal component? So we go with always with the Verimax. Just click on this Verimax, then continue. When I say Verimax, automatically the rotated solution was selected. Please continue. Scores. Suppose you are going for further analysis. On that time the scores are required or else not required. Just you continue. And comes with the options. Exclude case listwise. Then I'll just give the continue. Now I'm giving OK. So here now we are getting the output of our factor analysis. For the case, that is the motives we taken. So how many tables appear? So any factors when you run, okay, first you should have an idea that how many tables are generated from the SPSS. So first and foremost, you'll get KMO Bartlett test. Second table is commonalities. Third table is total variance explained, followed by the screen plot. Then fifth table is component matrix. Then sixth table is rotated component matrix, which is the final table. That is the actual table we are going to consider, and then component transformation matrix. So you should, among these tables, which one has to be considered, which are very important. So first table is KMO Bartlett test, second one is commonalities, third one is total variance explained, screen plot. We are going to ignore this component matrix, but among these two, we are going to focus on rotated component matrix, because we asked that rotated component matrix for identifying the actual factors. So here, let me explain one by one. Now coming to the first step, as I said, the pre-qualification, that is the KMO Bartlett test, Bartlett sphericity. You can read one by one. Okay. Because first one is Kaiser-Meyer-Orkin measure of sampling adequacy. So it's a sampling adequacy is sufficient. Is it strong or weak? You can see that it's coming around what? 0.731. That's a very good study, and the sampling adequacy is high, and also so it's moderate, but it is minimum required and it is good for the study. As at 0.5 below, we cannot. 0.5 to 7, 7 to 9, and above 9. Okay. So 0.7 is very good sampling adequacy. And we are to check on the two tests in the KMO Bartlett. One is sampling adequacy with the sample size. Second one is with the correlation matrix, that is with the Bartlett test study, where it talks about the significance level. What is the significance level here? that is 0.000. That means less than 0.05. That means it is ready for factor analysis. If it is not significant, then you're unable to go for further factor analysis. So once this test is qualified, second important step is next is commonalities. What is commonalities? See, whenever we take a group of questions, suppose the 8 questions are asked to a respondent, whether he able to understand the question and whether it is this question is contributing for go for factor analysis extraction, for factors extraction, and that can be analyzed through the commonalities score. Initial is 1 means always with 100. But when start go for extraction, what is the level of extraction happened? Extraction happened means how much it is explaining individually. And that can be considered the time of rotation by the software, and for that this commonalities is very, very important. Another important I want to share with you all is that with the commonalities, we can, suppose here I just taken 8. Suppose I am with the some 20 items, means 20 questions. Whether all the 20 questions I should consider for my study, whether all are some weak questions. Sometimes what the meaning of weak question means or weak item means, sometimes I don't know how to ask that particular question particular information. So I will be asking like beating around the bush. So in that way I will be asking some 2 to 3 questions prepared for one answer, for one information. Such type of the items will come with a very poor loading, poor extraction. Somewhere like 0.3, 0.2, 0.1 like that. So that is showing very less 0.3. So indirectly you can remove those items and again go for further factor analysis. That will help you to improve the score of the factors. So here we are getting each question, how much is explaining 48.3%, 62, 55, 41, 46, 48, 7, 50, 69.6%. The good extraction, and that way the community scores helps us to identify which is the weak question, which is the moderate or strong questions. So as a scholar, you can do filtration here itself. And next table after this, see this is a step-by-step analysis which is happening in the spaces. So next comes with the total variance explained. So how much it is explaining. Okay, so in the given case from the 552 respondents for 8 items, you can see that, and even the initial eigenvalues cutoff also I mentioned 1. If it is above 1, you consider for the factors or else no. So you can see here the factor was okay. First factor with the explanation of the eigenvalue of more than 1, that is 2.597. The percentage of variance is 32.464. Okay, whereas come up with the extraction some square loadings. Okay, and here come up with the second item which is also above 1, that is explaining about 20.046. So overall cumulative of 52.510 explanations. Suppose is this correct explanation of with the percent of variance? So this will vary from different methods. The extraction sums of squared loadings if it takes, so you can see that the explanation will be for the first one is 32 and 20 as it is, but it comes with the squared loadings with the percent of variance. Actual explanation is 29.337%, and second one is explaining about the 23.173% with the rotation. Rotation sum squared loadings. You can see here 32, here it is 29, here it is 20, it 23 means the actual after rotation the actual expressions will happen. But generally we stick with the extraction sums of squared loadings. But more interesting is that our objective is to check that how much percentage expressions happen. That's overall cumulative, that is 52.510%. Now you can see the screen plot as I given here. The 1 is eigenvalue. You can see the vertical column, that is the y-axis with the eigenvalues and x-axis with the component numbers. So up to 8 component numbers were extracted, but among them I am going to consider only with the eigenvalues more than 1. So that means this is the cutoff. With this 88, we are not considering a factor, but we are considering directly with this. How many factors you consider? 1 and 2 because these two are above eigenvalue 1. So 2 factors are going to be generated. And that can be seen in the component matrix. But as I say, the component matrix just show the after the rotation, but is not the actual. So the actual matrix will generate it through the rotation. That's what we, even if this table is existing, we should ignore this. We have to focus on this rotated component matrix because the matrix was rotated after the rotations, so the actual loading work can be identified. And even we use the word called as factory loadings. So here the factory loadings are happening, and these each value is talking about the is called as the factory loading. You can see here each item. Okay, and after rotation, so there will be shuffling of the items may happen, and even they will be shuffled from one to the first or second question or third question will be shuffled, or in the time of grouping also they may get shuffled. So maybe appearing as per the items we loaded in the spaces, or it may be sometimes it may be mixed one. So let us first focus on the loadings. The loadings which are very high and which is showing the commonality. So out of the 8 items, that is 8 questions, you can see only have to look on the rotated component matrix. You can see that first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 items are showing what? Above 0.5 or above 0.6. Which is a very good extraction, okay, and with a good loading. You can see that 0.684 is for a loading, and these are called as a factory loading scores. Okay, so this 0.684, then 0.762, 0.654. I say because I desire to build a reserve for unforeseen contingencies. This is the first factory loading. This is the second factory loading. Second items in the under the group of first factor. Under first factor is the second item. Third item, which is I save because I desire to enjoy an enlarged future income, and I save because I desire to enjoy a sense of independence and power to do things, and I save because I desire to make gradually increasing expenditures in order to improve the standard of living. Whereas another group was created, you can see here opposite of this, the less score for all these 5. For remaining 3, it is created another group with a 0.686, 636 and 830. You can see the loading of very high loading even with a 0.830. That means that much of which is highly preferred by the respondents. And these 3 were with some meaning like I say because I desire to spend less, I say because I desire to pass the fortune to the next generation, I say because I desire to carry out speculation of the business. Similarly, some 2 groups were created by the software based on the loadings. Now next job is researcher's job. Statistical part is over. This component transformation matrix is just helps to assess that how much from the each component. Okay. So here the rotated component matrix, now it helps us to identify 2 groups, and now researcher's job is giving a new name based on its objective or the idea, or maybe you can say the intelligence, because those factors name what is giving, that is representing the views which were grouped here. So I desire to build a reserve for unforeseen contingencies, or like needs like old age, like interest and appreciation, independence and power to do things, in order to improve the standard of living. So these are giving some meaning, and these 3 are giving some meaning. So that we need to identify and develop the table. So that's all about the factor analysis. Now let me move with the interpretations. So in the interpretation part, if we see the loadings, this is whenever we write articles, so these are common things. That is first table, what it talks, that is came up what it is. Then here we come up with the 2 types of the factors. Okay, so one is talking about the self-support motive, and second is talks about the family-oriented motive. You can see the family-oriented motive like I save because I desire to carry out speculation business, I desire to spend less. I desire to spend pass the fortune to next generation. Means all these three savings that savings is doing, all are only for family sake. You can see here these three just appeared because of the product component matrix, and it is all done through the SPSS. And remaining these six talks about the self-support motive. So in that way, every person is, these are two new names were given, that is in the motives out of 8 items. So we found 2 factors, that is 2 groups. One was given as the name was given as a self-support motive, and second one is given as a family-oriented motive. So that way, so researcher has identified the 2 factors now, and he can proudly explain in his research paper that, so that way he identified 2 factors, and these from the self-support motive point of view, how it is can be used for further analysis. Family support, family-oriented motive can be used for further analysis. So that way you can see that we had to develop the tables like this, okay, and we had to write the factor loading. These are just I taken from here. Okay, this table I just split into 2 parts, and I just come up with the tables here. Okay, so this one is self-support motive, which purely talks about how an individual can be focusing, how an individual is focusing, and all are talks about the self-centric or self-supportive oriented. And this helps them to keep a motive in the life, and also family-oriented motives. So people not only reserve money for purpose, but they reserve for the family's sake. So these 2 factors were identified. Another analysis can be, another interpretation you can do with the help of factor analysis, that is the strength of the motives. I found 2 types of motives, but which is high and which is low. That can be priority can be given. So that can be done with the help of the ranking. So how you can do ranking? So you can just go with the scores identified, okay, that is given by the respondents, and take the value of those respondents. You can see here. So the mean values. So mean values of self-support we found here 3.54, whereas the family-oriented we found 2.66. So based on this, you can give a ranking also. So the first motive, second motive. So in the interpretation, you can say that. So self-support, any person you can take. So while making the savings and investments in terms of savings, so self-support motive plays a key role than the family-oriented motive. It's not mean that it's not family-oriented motive is not important, but it comes with the next priority. Any other person you can take that, he always looks on self-support motive, and for that point of view, you go for savings. Whereas after once he fulfill with the savings, with the self-support, then you look on the family-oriented. That way, the researcher can use this as a interesting study for further analysis. It all depends upon the researchers how he's going to interpret his research. That's what. Tools may be anything, but when from the tool, whatever the output comes, how he's going to interpret his views to justify the objectives, that is also very important. So you can go with the further analysis, like you can do like self-support motive categories. Okay, what is the percentage, how much it was explained by the respondents. You can see here self-support motive related items. So out of 550 respondents, 523 are talking, they are telling that agree and strongly agree. The 29 say disagree. That means 94.7% are with the positive opinion. Similarly, family-oriented motive categories, you can see out of the 552, 50% opinion was shared here. So, and also with the variance explained, how much the data was explained by the respondents when they were asked for the questionnaire. So 52.51% of explanations were done through the variance can be analyzed, considered for understanding that how much percentage it is explained, and that will give a confidence to the researcher. If it is above 50% or 60%, so normally that gives more confidence to the researcher, because many times we can see it's in the range of the 50 to 60 or 60 to 70 or 70 to 80. Very rarely, very beautiful study. Okay, but let's say common is between the 60 to 80%. Variance expressions can be found in any factor analysis. So this is about the factor analysis study, and these are the the steps we can use for factor analysis study. Yeah, this is my presentation, and any doubts or any queries with respect to the steps using the factor analysis. Yes, participants. Any questions with respect to factor analysis?
Sir, good evening, sir. Thank you very much, Somsekhar, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So there was one question which was asked by the participant. If sample size is more, then probability of getting bell curve increases. Is that right? And there was a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is correct, sir. That leads to normal distribution, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay. So only that question was posed by the participant.
Okay, sir.
So any
And
other
I want to
questions?
tell, yes, yes, sir. Please, sir.
Any other questions? I request the participants to please
Yes.
post it in the chat box.
By the time I want to tell all the research scholars, we can say when we use the statistical tools for publishing the articles, the understanding of the statistical tools are very, very important. And that's what bivariate, univariate, bivariate analysis, that's up to correlation, or maybe with the chi-square analysis, or the simple statistical tools like Z-test, ANOVA, one-way ANOVA we can use, or even I shown the post-hoc also. But when it comes to the multiple variables, suppose the researcher wants to, when you, as a scholar, so you always have the multiple variables. So that means you should focus on this multivariate data analysis, where it comes to the first step with the exploratory factor analysis. That is what we discussed today. So which is help us to identify the interrelationship, because as a research scholar, your role is to identify the insights of your study, which is not explored or identified by any other research scholar. That is your contribution through the PhD to the society and even for the education industry. That's why multivariate statistical tools are very, very important. Even next level, we can go with the conformative factor analysis, structural equation modeling, okay, the conjoint analysis, discriminant analysis, multidimensional scaling. So like that, the further tools are available, which are very interesting, and that all depending upon how a research scholar is focusing on his insights. And I request that all research scholars should come up with first the conceptual model. If you have a conceptual model clarity, means what is the dependent variable, which are the independent variables you have taken based on the objectives, and when you develop that model, you will be clear that what type of relationship you are going to study. Whether you are with a simple relationship or with a complex relationship. The simple relationship you can study with the just as said with the univariate or bivariate analysis with the up to correlation regression. But when it comes with the multiple complex relationship you want to study, then comes the role of this multivariate data analysis. That is where the real contribution of the researchers will start. It starts from this factor analysis itself. Yes. Any further doubts? Are there anything?
Sir, there was one more question.
Yeah.
The participant was asking that the research design is quasi-experimental. In that, the data will be analyzed descriptively in terms of measures of central tendency, measures of variability, and measures of divergence from normality.
Yes, sir.
Can you please guide me which inferential analysis technique I can apply to the study?
In the quasi-experimental study, it all comes with lab related, sir, actually, quasi-experimental, where we take some control group and testing group. So that time they should focus on the third one, sir. What three options they said, sir? Which methods?
In the central tendency, measures of variability and measures of divergence from normality.
Measures of central tendency, that itself talks about that basic tools what we use. In the measure, diversion means comes with the measure of dispersion. And third one, sir?
Measures of variability.
Measures of variability. Measures of variability is very important to go with the multivariate analysis, sir. Because there we are going to check that how much is varying, okay, from the relationship when you go to study the interrelationship among the variables.
Okay, sir.
That way they can go with that. All depends upon the again as I said, the researcher is expecting that he should have idea about the statistical tools applications. And normality is very common basic term that for any analysis, they have to check that whether my data is normal or not. If it is not normal, then I should go for non-parametric test. If it is normal, then I should go for the parametric test. Then after that, and the parametric test again, you can go with the further steps of with this multivariate data analysis. That way, the researcher can carry out.
So thank you very much,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
for a valuable insight on fact analysis using SPSS. Any
Thank
other
you, sir.
questions, participants can feel free to consult or mail us, or even in WhatsApp group, you can send a message so that we will revert back to you. Thank you once again for all the participants and the resource person and the department HOD, Dr. PSV Balaji Rao, sir, for giving me an opportunity to moderate the sessions for today. Feedback link will be shared in the chat box, so you can fill the feedback form because your feedback is very important for us. Thank you very much, Somsekhar sir, once again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.